All right, you guys, we are going to be doing a transformation on my co-stylist, Bailey. I'm so excited because she has all dark hair right now. If you look at her roots, she's like a level 7. So she feels really gray when she grows in, and we want to lighten her up a little bit. So we're going to be doing an all over Teasy light, seeing what her hair does because she has color layered on here. So we really have no clue. So if you're interested in watching this transformation, stay tuned. Okay, so since she has all dark hair and she has been coloring it for years, we are going to start off doing Teasy lights and some highlights in the front to give it a brighter appearance. But I just feel like doing Teasy lights, or foliage would be another word for this, is just something that you can do to break apart color, see how the hair lifts without committing. Because if we were to do a full highlight on her, her roots would lift a lot hotter or a lot lighter. In other terms, then we would have bandings in the mid, and then we would have lighter ends. So it's really hard to color correct things like that, which is why Teasy lights are a little safer because you're not going up as high and it's a little more natural looking. So that's what we're going to do here. I like to start with higher impact, just doing these Teasy lights a little bit closer together back to back, especially in this area where the face frame and the underneath hairline is, so that we have brightness there. And then as we work up into the interior, we're going to space them out a little bit more so that we have more depth and the brightness is really there just around the face. I packed those foils in at the nape, and now I am just transitioning around the ear. I love to use a board around this area because it's really hard to get a sturdy base and a good tight foil when you're above the ear. So the board really helps me, and I also use it to fold my corners in, as you can see me doing here. I'm finishing those foils up to the top of the hairline, and then I'm going to do that front frame a little bit differently. So these are going to be some of my last foils until I get to that section. Okay, so now I'm working into the front face frame, and this is the only place I'm doing actual highlights, just because I do want it a little bit brighter around the face, and it also will kind of show me how the hair would lift in a traditional highlight. And I can also tone down or do a top, a mid, and an end toner if needed, but this is just going to give me a higher money piece in face framing. So that's what we're doing here. I'm going to pack in a few highlights, and then we're going to transition into Teasy lights for a nice blend. Now we're heading into the interior, and now I'm going to start spacing them out a little bit more. Even though I'm doing that though, my sections are still really fine, as you can see here. The key to Teasy lights is you just want to make sure that everything's really fine so you can saturate well. So even if I want a thicker piece or like more contrast or just like a chunkier highlight in a sense, and I really want it to pop, I'm still doing fine sections, because if not, it's going to be splotchy and not process evenly. Now we are getting to the point where we need to pull some of those back foils, so I am using the Fromar fuzzy gloves. I'm pulling the foils and then saturating with those gloves. I love doing this, especially on brunette hair, because I feel like if you're trying to get a good, clean, even lift with Teasy lights, it's really good to be able to do this to just resaturate that product, just in case there was any splotchiness or anything that you're missing. And then we just kind of let it sit out in the open like that until we go rinse. Okay, now we're rinsing everything, and I am using the Teasy Styles Prenup shampoo and the Sugar Daddy conditioner, giving her a nice hair wash and condition before we get started. This is going to help work through those Teasy lights and break them down a little bit before we start brushing out. Okay, back in the break room, I'm mixing up. So for her root, we are actually doing the Kenra Demi, and I'm doing 5N, 6N. And then for her ends, I am doing a combination of 7T, 7NB, 8GI, 8WG, and then just a little bit of 7GB as well, because I want this to be warm and rich, but I also have some cooler tones in there since she did lift a little bit warm. I just don't want it to look flat and muddy. And then also her top lifted a little bit lighter, so I'm going to take that root down a little bit and then just tone the ends with that same formula. So back at the chair now, we are going to take that root formula after brushing out and just apply it. And I did a leave-in here, so I just have the root sitting on, and then the mids to ends is going to be a leave-in conditioner, and that's going to create a barrier so the root doesn't get dragged down, and it's also going to give her a conditioning and moisturizing treatment at the same time. Going through and adding that toner on the mids to ends while the root sits. With brunettes, I like to do this so that I can kind of melt it all together and it looks really seamless. You can either rinse out the conditioner and then do this, which is what I did for her, or you can leave that conditioner on and it creates a little bit of a barrier, and you'll just have to leave your toner on a little bit longer. But if you are worried about your client overtoning, especially if they lifted super blonde or their hair's really porous, then you could also do that to help the toner slow down so it doesn't take too quickly, especially if you're on the slower side. Now I'm leaning her back and we're just toning that face frame. I always leave that for very last because those hairs are more porous and they did lift a little bit lighter since they were highlights. And this is the final result. It looks so good. I wanted to show you guys before we added extensions because we did end up adding extensions. And I know that you guys like to see the color before we do that, but she lifted pretty good, especially for a first session. I don't feel like we pushed her hair past the breaking point, but we got nice dimension in there. And the nice thing about adding extensions now is we can add pops of a brighter color to make her look even lighter, whereas we didn't want to bleach her hair that much. So it's great because extensions can just be utilized in so many different ways. So we did 3 rows on her. I did a mini row underneath because her hair is a little bit shorter, and this just kind of helps fill it in so that it's not like a sharp shelf. And then we did 2 full rows after that. And don't mind the way I look in this video. I got my hair done right after. We just kind of traded. So I look like a hot mess because my hair was out, no makeup, sweats. So just know that normally when I do hair, I look a lot cuter, but it was hair day. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and stay tuned for more hair videos to come.